Greetings, sports fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Off the Bench podcast. Today, I have a very special guest with me today. As you can see, he's not in an Arsenal kit, but he is the CEO of Talent Transfer, and he's also a presenter and content creator for Aftv. Cesa Thomas. Cesa, what going?
Well, yes, people, what's going on? I hope everyone's well, listening and watching, and everything all right. I can't lie. Life has just been this year has been incredible for me, and obviously I've just come back from Jamaica, thanks to work with alongside CONCACAF. My first time there, which I'm a bit embarrassed about. It took me 28 years to get there, but obviously my family and that all from there. So it was an amazing time. But things are good right now, man. Arsenal doing well. Life is ticking along. Yeah, man, just in the build up to Christmas now. So everything all right. I'm blessed and honored to be on your podcast, man. So thank you for inviting me.
Good. And I'm honored to have you. Anybody from AFTV is always great. Big up Dan Rabbit.
Yes.
You guys are the reason why I actually get into YouTube. So I appreciate you guys, you coming on. I love you guys' work, and it's very inspirational.
No, respect.
Yeah, but let's get into it. Who is Cecil, and how was it growing up?
How was it growing up? It was me. I'm obviously a young boy from starting in South London and end up living in Surrey. Growing up was interesting. My father's from Kingston, Jamaica, and obviously he was with my mum. My mum's roots and heritage is from St. Elizabeth, and it was all right growing up, man. Obviously, them two split up. I think whilst I was growing up, so I didn't see too much of my dad. My dad was there every now and then, taking me to football every now and then. But my main person by my side was my mum. Very much, it's all over the internet, and everyone knows I'm a mummy's boy. I don't hide from that. Man loves my mum and that, and everything I do is to support and help her as well. So big up the mumsy and that. But and yeah, like growing up was fine, man. We moved out into a white neighborhood, shall we say. So I lived in Surrey, I lived in Reigate, and that was challenging at times. Like I was kind of the only black person in the area, black person in my primary school. But I grew to that. I rose to just to living in that area, and yeah, man, it was all right. We pushed, and then my dream was to be a professional footballer after following Thierry Henry at Arsenal. I idolized him. He was my role model, someone I looked up to, someone I wanted to be, someone I mimicked and just copied in my whole entire life growing up. And wanted to play for Arsenal, and then luckily I got the opportunity, obviously, be a professional footballer. Didn't really make it to Thierry Henry heights, but back in the day, that was who people kind of referred me to, because I had the low cut, 0.5, socks up high, all of that. So yeah, but growing up was nice, man. It was nice. I had to navigate through like a white society, but then became very popular and well known within the community and that. So yeah, no, things are all right, man, and things are going well. So yeah, that was kind of the growing up phase.
Yeah, and you mentioned you played football. I know you were at Crystal Palace and Crawley Town.
Yes.
But you were released. I watched a documentary about that. Tell us a little bit about how difficult was it to really make it as a footballer.
Yeah, so very, very difficult, my friend. Like Eddie, like if I'm being real, like it's the dream for many kids. It was a dream for me. I mean, when you're in primary school and a teacher asks you, what you want to be when you grow up, obviously people say some silly things like astronaut and princess and that. But the main thing that comes up is young boys want to be footballers, isn't it? So that was always my dream. But you knew the competition was high. And yeah, like you said, I was at Crystal Palace. That was, if anything, I started football really late. I was at Crystal Palace at 15 on trial for the under-16s. Most people start nowadays in academies at primary school ages and tender ages. So I arrived quite late, but that was my first introduction of professional football. And then when I got released after about 3 weeks to a month, it broke my heart. Like man was like bawling, crying for time, because yeah, man, I thought that was it, but I didn't even realize it was the actual Crystal Palace at the time. I thought it was a college thing, but it was the official thing. And when I got released, I just was like, this is what from the way I reacted, I knew this is what I wanted. So then fast forward a few months later, I got offered to go to a training session with Crawley Town. I was still 16 years old. I was trained with the under 16s, but I was bigger, stronger, more physical than all of them, especially coming from Palace, which is a London club. You come into Sussex, which is another county. It's a bit of a kind of what I'm used to. So it's like it's more, dominated by population of white people as well, and I was just a bit more, more physically advanced.
Physical,
yeah. Yeah. So I was a bit rough, and also technically I was better because I've just come from an inner London academy. So I got there, did the training session, then did a match, and was above that level. So then they asked me to come back to train with the youth team. That was more like it. That's 16 to 18s. And I was 16 and I held my own. Don't get me wrong, there was players better than me there, but I held my own with the youth team. And then one day they gave me a call. They called my school to ask for day release, to ask if they could bring me out of school to go and train with the youth team. And I went out. The training session was a match against the first team. And then I trained up against Claude Davis, who's a Jamaican international. And I just spun him a treat. And then after that, the manager loved me. And then from there, kind of the contract got given. But it's difficult. I now run a company, which we'll probably get into later, called Talent Transfer. And I know the statistics.
Yes.
Yeah, I know the statistics of how hard it is to become a professional footballer. So like from youth level where I was signed at Crawley, only 180 make it to the Premier League from youth level out of 1.5 million. So it's like 0.012% make it to the Premier League. So, and that's excluding all of the young boys that not even in academies that want to be footballers. So it just goes to show how difficult it is. And I always thought I'd be the one to make it regardless. But when I became a footballer and was in the industry of it and the politics, it ate away at me. It wasn't for me, man. But life turned out all right in the end. So yeah, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Yes, well done. And I don't know if you're familiar with Dujan Whisper Richards. He's at Chelsea. Just signed at Chelsea. Familiar with him?
No.
But he's young, just turned 18. I believe he's now training with the first team. I saw some videos this week. Any advice to Whisper?
With advice, my thing, right? So one thing that young players struggle with, and I was like I said, I got a company where I mentor now. I do workshops with young footballers, so that's my week to week. And a lot of time I tell them that never be too high, never be too low, and it's something that I never did when I was a footballer, but it's advice that every time I speak to players that I've spoken to throughout their careers, they always say that never too high, never too low stuff is brilliant. So, for instance, never get too high. When you're training with the first team, when you're traveling, when you've been called up for your international side, when you make your debut, of course, these are big moments, but you have to it's so difficult as a young player, but you have to switch your mindset to say, this is my reality. This is what I'm working towards. So this is part of the procedure. You don't have to get too excited, move mad, go out afterwards and celebrate too lively. Don't be too mad on social media. It's really difficult. Try and level your emotions. And then when things are low, when you're being benched, when you're being dropped, when you're injured, you got to see it as part of the journey and just kind of stay consistent. And to give examples, like if we look at Bukayo Saka at Arsenal, you never see my man ever he's never out in this. You'll never see him in the media doing a madness. You'll never see, he's very protected. He's educated. He's got a good family, good people around him. And you don't see too much about him. He keeps it very humble. And when things are low, when Arsenal were losing last season, you didn't really hear too much from him, but he never was too, sad or doing things that will go against him. He was always very professional. Jude Bellingham, another one, model professional, right. Incredible. He has that same sort of mindset. A lot of the young players coming through now, it's a different era as well now, but you have to stay very consistent in your emotions and your mentality of never staying too high or never being too low. It is definitely easier said than done, but it's one piece of advice I wish I had when I was playing, All
right, good stuff. And Talent Transfer, you're the founder, you started that in 2018, I believe.
Yeah.
To help, players, find another way, new careers, or help them out in retirement and so. But how has that been going?
It's been amazing, Eddie. I love that you've done your research, my brother. Respect for that as well, because these are little things. Yeah, man, I appreciate that, man. Because not a lot people will see man on AFTV or they'll see me on YouTube and think, okay, cool, but where's my man come from? What does he do? There's a lot of things that I do aside from AFTV. One of them being his Talent Transfer. It's my company. It's my baby. It's something I'm most proud of. When I went into dance training, in a college, I set up the company. I wanted to help young players. That was my dream. Especially after the experience I had as a footballer, I wanted to advise them on how they should be treated. Talent transfer stands for transferable skills. So be able to transfer talents from one industry to the next. That's the main message. But then also talk about just the best way to get a professional contract. I give them advice and tips that I've learned since leaving the game that I try and pass on to them. So I set it up in 2018, like you mentioned. I was still in training, I was in college, and I got a lot of doors slammed in my face. But like clubs know, the PFA said, what makes you so special? There's so many players that have been released. Why should we have you in? What makes your story so different? And then one guy who, when I was signed at Crawley Town, who used to be my teacher, because you have to have education whilst being a young player, he gave me the opportunity to go to free clubs and speak to them and trial the workshop. And after I'd done that, I did the 3 workshops. One was it was at Dagenham, Redbridge, Millwall, and Stevenage. And after the workshops, the response was phenomenal. Players were opening up to me, saying they want to be footballers. Some were saying, yeah, I need advice on this. I need help with this, and I'm scared to go and do this. And how did you? And we had a long questioning session with Dagenham and Redbridge, an hour and a half after the workshop, which was the longest time they've had someone sit with an external contributor. So they were really impressed with the workshop. So after that, it just went really well, my friend. And it's been 7 years. Yeah, 7 years consecutively I've been recommissioned. So I've been speaking to clubs all over the country, from League 2, I can even say conference now, Conference Prem, through all the way to the Premier League. So every week, like I mentioned before, I go to a different club and speak to the young players. But I also speak to staff, parents, and young pros as well. But my main target audience is 16 to 18s. But talent transfer is going very well, my friend. It's something I take a lot of pride in, and it's part of my legacy.
Yeah, man, good stuff. That's a very good initiative, Cecil. And people, Cecil is also a dancer. He's a model. He's an actor. So Cecil doing a lot of things. And Aftv doing a bag of things. But which one do you prefer doing?
Good question. That's a very good question. What do I prefer doing? This one's tough. This one's tough because, so I used to get asked this a lot. I used to get asked football or dance, yeah? But I used to get the same feeling scoring a goal as being on stage and dancing in front of thousands of people. So I could never pick. So I can never split the difference. But what I will say is, nowadays that's changed. That's what everyone used to ask me. I could never pick. Now it's kind of like you said, there's acting, there's modeling, there's presenting, and that. Acting I've done to a degree. I love it, but it's not number one. Dancing, man's a vibes man. I'm a mover and groover, but like I become, you know, the Caribbean culture, you know how we move, so you know how it goes.
Yeah, man.
That's in my blood. Yeah, it's in my blood. So that's up there. That's up there. It's just it's football and dance. That's it. I can't pick between the two. It's them two. Like I love acting, I love modeling, I love body doubling, I love presenting, but still at the top will be dancing and football. And if I'm honest, I now do the least. I don't dance much anymore for work. I don't play football much either. So it's a shame, but they are my 2 favorites.
All right, Arsenal now. How did the love for Arsenal come about, and how did you link up with Robbie?
Okay.
I see that you've been there with Aftv since 2020.
So 3 years now. We linked up. There's a whole story behind it, and I'll give you the story. But how I fell in love with Arsenal was simply some of my stepbrothers who got me into football. They had the links for me to get to Crystal Palace and Crawley Town. One of them supports Arsenal, one I looked up to. But so I looked at him and said, okay, cool. That's like, you know, I knew about Arsenal through him. But then on top of that, Thierry Henry, when I was young playing football, bar-led, running down, long socks, gloves. Everyone was like, oh, he's like a young Thierry Henry. Never that good. Never that good. I always have to mention that because people get in their feelings and say, oh, boy, how you can compare yourself to Thierry? And listen, I know I wasn't that level. But yes, Thierry Henry was someone I idolized and looked up to. And then people were like, oh, he's a young Thierry Henry. I researched who he was, watched a lot of videos, watched obviously the matches, saw us go unbeaten as well. So then from that, I was like, this is the club. This is the club. And then, then the further down the line, you do more research on the history and everything. But I fell in love with Arsenal through Thierry Henry, and now I'm blessed to have some amazing experiences. Obviously, Arsene Wenger as well. I looked at as a father figure because my father wasn't really around like that. throughout my years. So I looked at him. I thought Arsenal was named after arson, and you know what I mean. He was one of those guys that was just incredible.
Yeah.
He was such a good manager. So I saw him as a father figure, and I was blessed to obviously meet him and interview him. But that was how I kind of fell in love with Arsenal. How I arrived at AFTV now. So just going way back, so to give everyone context and an idea. So when I left playing professional football and I left dancing, I graduated from my dance training. I was looking to get back into football because through my dance training, I fell out of love with football due to my experience at Crawley. So I stopped watching it. I stopped playing it. I just focused on performing and learning my trade when it comes to dancing and performing. So then when I left that, I looked to get back into football and Cheeky Sport FC. So this YouTube football scene was starting to cook. So I joined Cheeky Sport FC, which is run by Joel Bayer, obviously another big Arsenal fan.
Yeah, man, I know Joel.
Big up Joel, man, a good friend of mine, obviously friends with Rio and with Five now. But so he was like, come play with me. He met me at a Marcus Rashford shoot when I was doing body doubling. He said, look, I got a team, come join. And the team was wicked team, man. Like whole of South London, ex-professional players there. And we batted up everyone. We beat everyone. We didn't train. We didn't take football too serious because it's just like, we were just there for fun, innit? But was beating all these other YouTube teams. But we weren't serious, and that annoyed Joel Bayer. So Joel said, look, you man aren't serious. You don't turn up to training. I pay for all this. So he folded the club. But whilst this was all happening, I was filming my documentary, which you mentioned. You'll watch. It's on my channel. It's on AFTV as well, Chasing the Dream. Whilst I was at Cheeky Sport, they were filming a documentary about my life as a footballer, the AFTV production team. So it was only supposed to be a small segment, but then because of how good the story and, you know, how serious the story was, they kind of just said, look, we want more of Cecil. Let's build a documentary around that. So we did the documentary now. Cheeky Sports folded, and then the film crew from the AFTV boys that filmed the documentary said, look, we've got a YouTube football team, AFTV FC. Would you join? Now, I live Surrey, so I live underneath London, and obviously they train in North London. So it was a big risk for me and a lot of time, and I wasn't getting paid to do it. But I said, you know what? Yeah, I'll join. Let's just see how it goes. So I wasn't really doing much at the time. Left football, just graduated, just trying to find my way in life. And then I started playing for AFTV FC. They released Blood Brothers, which is a big series on AFTV. All the YouTube teams done crazy numbers, big. So I was in that. And by the way, all this time, I still haven't met Robbie. So I'm part of AFTV FC. Don't really know who Robbie is.
Really? Yeah.
I haven't met him at all at this time. Obviously, I knew of AFTV. I knew of Troops. I knew of fan cams and that. But it was just I just knew about it. I wasn't like how it is now. Like, you know, this is my life. This is my work. But I knew about Troops. I knew about, you know, when we lost, there was outrage and all of that. So I knew how big AFTV was, but I was just playing for their team. Never met Robbie. Cool. Semi-finals happens against DTFC. Robbie comes down. See Robbie. Cool, brother. Don't really get to speak with him. Busy man. Cool. That's the first time I ever met him at a football match with AFTV FC. And then boom. Fast forward now. Blood Brothers season finishes. Everything's done. AFTV hit 1 million subscribers. That was it must have been about 4 years ago now, because it was the year before I started AFTV. Maybe even 5. They hit 1 million subscribers. Robbie throws a 1 million subscriber party at YouTube. And then we get invited. The whole of the AFTV FC team get invited. I go there and I see Robbie. Robbie does a big speech thanking everyone, hitting 1 million subscribers. But he also talks about, listen, I'm here to build a community. It's not about me. It's not about Arsenal. I want to build like a fan channel community. You know, have big have banter with everyone, run the scene, basically, change the modern day TV. At the time, obviously, people in suits talking about football, when the people that talk football best are the man them, or people in track. The everyday, you know, how it goes. People over in either it's in Jamaica, America, people that want to talk football, but they don't have to be in suits and on Sky Sports. So I met him there and said, I was so just, right, he's such a good brother. And I said, you know what? One day we have to link up, because he was a genuine guy, pure. We took a photo together. That photo, it's not a famous photo, but it's a big photo. It's on my Twitter. It's me and him at the awards holding the gold plaque. And then fast forward a year now, COVID hits, 2020. He put something on LinkedIn. I'm looking for 2 new presenters, 1 male, 1 female. I apply for it. I've got the screenshot of the post because it's got 943 comments of 47. I've still got a screenshot to this day because I'm just so proud of it. And then you apply by sending off a video. You got to send a video of yourself. So I sent the documentary through. Said, look, I've worked with your team. Come, let's meet. Let's do an interview. Let's sort it out. Then I did loads of rounds of interviews, and then yeah, the rest is history. We did the interviews. He rang me the day I found out I wasn't going to be in a film, and brother, it broke my heart. He rang me and said, I want you to be a part of AFTV. And then me and James started on the same day. And it was a blessing. It was an absolute blessing. So
Wow.
yeah, that's how it all happened. But it was tough to begin with, which we can get into, but we arrived and now we're here, man. You know?
Wow. But would you say you're living the dream now, traveling, to cover Arsenal? I see it with CONCACAF now. How is that, that whole experience like?
Eddie, it's incredible, man. I'll be real. I want people to watch that, watching and listening to understand though. Man works hard. Because I think that it always gets lost because you see social media, you see YouTube, you see, wow, man just must turn up, put the camera on, and life's good. You go from what there's so much that happens behind the scenes. There's so much things that we do as well at AFTV. AFTV is a small company. Don't get it twisted. This isn't no crazy, massive bear staff where everyone's doing stuff for you. Like we're doing I run social media, plus I sort out the relationships between the club and AFTV and other clubs around and AFTV, and we got to create content from scratch, book guests. Like there's so much going on. It's non-stop as well. You can imagine like social media and YouTube and news breaks at crazy o'clock, and you don't get weekends, you don't get days off. Like it's very full on.
On the go. Yeah,
on
man. Tell me about it.
No, it's proper, man. Like it's just like man can be. If I'm honest, like it's during the football schedule, isn't it? So if football's happening, we're working. So when they say like footballers are in Boxing Day, they train Christmas. Don't get twisted. We've got to be on alert through Christmas, Boxing Day. Most Boxing Days I work anyway with AFT. I used to be a footballer, so I used to train anyway or play matches on Boxing Day. But that my life hasn't changed ever. It's just been consistently following the football schedule, which doesn't sleep. And there's more games, which means there's more work for us. And the more popular I'm getting through YouTube, like you mentioned, CONCACAF, like when there's like international breaks, I'm my busiest again. So it's not like through the season, it's non-stop Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, get one day off a week. When it stops and it's international break, I'm flying to wherever with CONCACAF. It's a blessing. I'm not complaining. I promise you. I never saw my life to be like this. I've been to some amazing places because of it, but we work hard. And yeah, man, it's amazing. CONCACAF was something that kind of fell on my lap, and I haven't looked back since. Man, was in Argentina when they won the World Cup this time last year. Best thing of my life. Like crazy. Streets were mad. Everything was filled. I went to Jamaica 5 days ago, which that was through CONCACAF. I was there for one of the CONCACAF games, one of the finals, Caribbean Cup. And now they've got a place. Suriname got a place in the Champions Cup next year in March. Jamaica play in the CONCACAF Nations League final in Dallas. Man's gonna be there. Like it's incredible. When I was a footballer, I would never have been able to visit these places. I would never been able to see myself. Yeah, so it's wicked. It's wicked, man. It's wicked.
Yeah, man. I'm hoping to be in Dallas for
is it?
Yeah. I went up for the Gold Cup and it was a tremendous experience.
Yeah, Gold Cup was
the USA game.
Yeah,
Gold Cup was wicked.
You was there, so you was there, yeah?
Yeah,
wicked, man.
All right, now so Arsenal, Cecil, do you think we can finally lift the voodoo this season? Print another shirt, maybe print another t-shirt. Come on. We need something this season.
No, Eddie, listen, I know this. I know we need it. I need it, bro. Every Arsenal fan in the world needs it. It's a tough arts, though. I learned a lot from last year. Yes, I printed the top. Obviously, I'm not going to. I can give the context, but the world don't care about context. I was just celebrating, being top for the month and going around the world. But whilst we was at the top, but I don't know. I predicted Man City will still win it and we'll come second again this season. However, that may change. I think Liverpool will be up there. I think we'll win silverware this year, Eddie. I believe that, yeah. But I just don't know what silverware it'll be, whether that'll be the Premier League. I don't believe it'll be the Champions League. I think that's a big arts for the Champions League after being out of it for 7 years. FA Cup potentially. Obviously, we have Liverpool in the new year. That's a big ask as well to beat. If we beat them, you kind of, I don't know, you feel confident you can go all the way in that. And I know we won the FA Cup many times with a the most successful team in the competition, and people say we've done that.
That's at Emirates, right? That's at Emirates versus Liverpool.
Yeah. So
good chance.
Yeah, good chance. Exactly. So if we beat them, I think we'll be, we can be not favourites, but we'll be close to favourites for winning that. And I think FA Cup still, I love celebrating when we win the FA Cup. It's a major trophy in my opinion. The League Cup, obviously, we're out of now. But yeah, man, I just think we'll lift silverware this year. The Premier League, I can't gauge it right now because, listen, you can't gauge it at this point because January hasn't happened. It's important what we do in January. Kevin De Bruyne is not in that Man City team right now. When he returns and all of that, we don't know exactly. We don't know if Man City are going to go back on there because they can just go on a 15
game winning streak,
out of nowhere. So until I see what happens when he returns, I don't know. Liverpool, they're going to be up there. They're steady ticking along. They're going to be up there. They're doing well. But I think people talk about the Christmas top, and I'm considering printing another one. If we beat Liverpool and we're top, listen, it'll be the death of me because I know man will kill me, but I'm tempted because I think if we beat Liverpool, I'll have confidence. It's a big step in the right direction,
No, before we get into the last segment, how important is content creation, impacting fans and linking different communities?
Yeah, okay, right. Before we do that, I just want to say, big up everyone watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe, man. Like I said, it's an honor to be here, man, and get Eddie to 5K, man. He deserves it, man. He's done his research, and I'm enjoying this. A large up to you, my friend. How important is content creation? What? It pays my bills. No, I'm joking. No, it's important in the sense of just the fact that the way the world is now. And I was quite not against it. I didn't understand it, Eddie, if I'm honest. When I was young, man never saw this as a career. No one did. If I'm honest, this wasn't.
Yeah,
I know KSI and then man, Robbie wasn't. When I was young, he wasn't doing AFTV. 2012 was when he started. So before then, no one really saw this as a career. So to see now that man are retiring family members, buying yards, helping people, allowing themselves to be creatively free, by the way, because when we're talking about content creation here, it means we have no holds bars of what we make. It's not like we make something and Sky said we can't put it out, or the TV broadcast said we can't do that. You can't do that. You're the content. You do what you want and you put it to the world. We have so many social media platforms now where you can show your art. There's nothing stopping you to do that. And I think that's massively important in a world where, it's very, taboo and very closed off now. You can't say too much. The world's sensitive. You need a place or some form of expression. I think content creation is the perfect place for that. And we have that in YouTube. We have that in TikTok. You have it in Instagram. You have it in so many social media platforms. And then to go even deeper, Robbie's changed enough man's life from just supporting his football club. Do you know how mad that man picked up a mic and spoke to fans outside the ground when no one wanted to talk to him. He said he couldn't pay people to come on the mic, to now running it's a multifunctional, it's a very successful business from just picking up a mic and speaking to fans and changing other people's lives through that. Bro, content creation is changing the game. Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing. And for me to be able to travel the world and be stopped in the street because of a YouTube, listen, there's nothing more humbling. I'm so grateful for the position I'm in. I'm so grateful for the opportunities I've had through content creation, and may it continue. And people that are listening and watching and that are thinking about doing it, or may have a 9-to-5 and they want to pursue it, just go for it, man. Take the leap. Just do it. You can try and juggle it alongside other work, but I can tell you this space and the things that's happening in content creation, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. So yeah.